Hello, Earth signs, and welcome into your reading for the second half of March, where we're taking a look at jobs and career, love and relationships, and life path and mission. So, as always, with this format now, I'll take a look at the energy for Earth signs in general, and then I'll pull some individual cards for each zodiac sign, and then also the oracle cards. One of the things that I like to do before we get started on that part is to see what crystal, if any, the universe is encouraging you to work with in the second half of March. So some of these cards have crystals on them and some of them don't. So we'll see what comes out here as an overall message. Earth anchor, rootedness, recalibration, and kundalini rising. So Earth signs, you are being called to Earth anchor and kind of get yourself into that rootedness. So go spend time out in nature, go for walks in the park or hikes, things like that. So no specific crystal. So whatever crystal is your crystal of choice, I would encourage you to work with that this month or for the second half of the month. As we get into this reading, we'll take a look. There's some eclipses coming up, but before we get into that, on the 19th, we have the sun entering Aries. So Aries season is about to start, and that has a lot of energy and drive and enthusiasm associated with it. And it's kind of that sense like being motivated to take action. And North Node is in Aries right now for the next, probably 10 months. And that is about standing in your truth, being unapologetically you. And your North Node is, what are you here to do? What is your life path? What is your purpose or your mission? What lessons are you supposed to learn? Then on the 22nd, we have Mars entering Pisces, and Mars is more of that Aries type of energy where you're going to have a lot of drive. That's a really great time for looking at spiritual pursuits and kind of creative projects and trusting your gut. So I'll talk about the eclipses here in a second, but let's start on job and career. So in the recent past, we have the Devil energy currently sitting in this Two of Swords energy, with the next level of energy coming in being your Three of Pentacles. So in the recent past, you feel like there have been a lot of distractions. There's been a lot of like that Devil energy is anything that keeps you off path, like off mission. So as it relates to a work situation, it could be that you're getting very distracted at work, whether it's something as I'll call it devilish as there's the opportunity for you, or you feel like energetically you're being encouraged to kind of cheat the system, whether that's maybe not dealing as above the board as you should with clients or fellow coworkers or bosses, or maybe there's a person at work that's trying to sway you, which is currently putting you in this energy of feeling like you're at a crossroads, like there is some sort of a difficult decision, maybe split loyalties. Could be that there's somebody at work that's trying to say, oh, hey, let's go start our own company and we'll take all these clients, and you know that you're not allowed to do that. So, you're choosing between two different paths, and there is a sense of you don't know what to do because you can't really see what the future looks like. You can't really see what direction you're being led in because this person is blindfolded. The next level of energy coming in, though, is this Three of Pentacles energy. And for some readers, this comes across as a twin flame card because it's divine masculine, divine feminine, and source all coming together on mission. But this is really about collaboration. It's about creating something new. It's about teamwork. So it does look like there's a positive shift in the energy. So you're moving away from this Devil energy, from whatever you feel like is keeping you from your highest purpose. And it looks like you do make that decision to move towards something that's more fulfilling, something that's more rewarding for you. Now we'll take a look at love and relationships, and let's talk a little bit about these eclipses coming up. So on the 25th, we have a Libra Lunar Eclipse, and that is really strongly focused on the culmination in relationships because Libra is all about relationships. And so it's a time for kind of doubling down on your commitment to good connections that you have. And this can either be romantic connections, family, friends, work connections. So it's that energy of leaning into solidifying your connections that feel like they're good connections and balanced ones. And it's about taking a hard look and making some tough decisions about connections that don't feel balanced, about connections that don't serve your highest good, that leave you feeling depleted. So as I mentioned, we don't have anything that's in retrograde right now, but Mercury goes retrograde on April 1st. So there is that shadow period that leads up to it. And that shadow period is going to overlap with this lunar eclipse. So remember, Mercury retrograde is all about like disruptions in communication and timing and technology. So usually that's a very gritty energy that even people that aren't considering themselves on spiritual paths or are not tapped into astrology, they'll hear, oh, Mercury retrograde, that's a bad thing. So it can be a bad thing, but it's also making you focus on and making you look at things that aren't working. If it's a technology issue and whatever, some email gets sent that's not supposed to get sent, it's making you look at, why did you write that email to begin with? What is it that you're not being transparent about? Things like that. But then also the energy with this eclipse, and here, so in our recent past, we have our Six of Cups in reverse, currently sitting in Knight of Pentacles in reverse, next level of energy, Page of Swords. So with this eclipse, remember, it starts as a full moon, which is about releasing things. It's about the end of cycles and closing up timelines that no longer serve you. Then you have the new moon coming in on top of that, which is planting seeds for a happier future, for a future that's more in line with your alignment and higher purpose. And then it goes back to a full moon right away, which is, again, closing out cycles. It's ending, it's putting an end to things that are no longer serving you. So you have that dynamic in play at the end of the month, particularly as it relates to relationships. So in the recent past, you've had a sense of focusing too much on the past and like getting stuck and leaving home. So this card also came out, and I believe it was in this exact position for our water signs. So if you have any water sign energy in your chart, that might be something to take a look at the water reading, because I believe it was the exact same position there. I'll put that in the comments below, though. So anytime we have overlaps like that, it's a matter of if it hits twice within your chart, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus, then it's something to take a look at. And then with your Knight of Pentacles in reverse, this is kind of this dull, lazy, like irresponsible energy. So you felt like you were getting stuck and that you were focusing too much on the past, and now it's just leaving you kind of feeling lazy. So two different ways to look at that, and as we pull cards for each individual sign, we can get a sense for, is this that you're stuck too much in the past, that you're giving too much leniency to your current relationship situation because you're looking back at, 15 years ago, look at how great things were with us. We were so happy. We were so in love. And now you're looking to the past because that's the time when things were feeling good. And, you don't have much in the present to feel good about. So you're stuck in the past and you're focusing on that, but then it's leaving you feeling kind of lazy. Or the other side of that is, why are we fighting all the time? And it's like you're focusing so much on the bad part, but you're not really addressing, what do I need to do to change this? And then the Page of Swords energy is what's coming in. So that's going to be some of this patience, but it's also this planning and curiosity and, what could my life look like if things were different? And again, when we pull cards for each individual sign, we can see whether that means different, like changing your current relationship, like changing that dynamic, or different as in making a new choice as it relates to your relationship and life partner. So let's take a look here at life path and mission. In the recent past, we have our Nine of Cups, currently sitting in the World energy, and next level of energy is Four of Pentacles in reverse, if you watch the daily readings on the channel, you'll know that this card is coming up like crazy in the last month. So we'll talk about that in a second. But the Nine of Cups energy is, you're feeling pretty good about your life path. What is your mission? So it's not necessarily that you fully achieved that, but you've been thinking about it and you feel confident that you know what your life path and mission is about. The World card is about having that completion, having that triumph. So with that, and then the next level of energy coming in with this Four of Pentacles in reverse, this is a generous giving type of energy, but it also has an element of overspending. But as it relates to, you're feeling victorious, like, oh, you've figured out what you need to do in life and you've achieved it. And then it kind of gives you that, yeah, I just want to share that joy and excitement and happiness with other people. So one of the things though too, so the World, it has that element of joy that, yes, you've completed it, you've gotten there. But remember, your life here doesn't have just one lesson. So if you've finished up one mission, it's time for the next one. So remember, if you've come full circle and tied out whatever mission and purpose you thought you had, now as you enter a new phase in your life, there's going to be a new purpose to it. So maybe your purpose was, I'm here to raise these wonderful children, and now the kids are moved out of the house. They don't need you to raise them anymore. That doesn't mean that now you sit at home doing nothing all day long. Now, maybe in this season of your life, you have a different purpose. You have a different mission that's coming up to take the place of the one that you've closed out. And remember, so with that lunar eclipse energy where you're closing out cycles, planting seeds, closing out cycles, you can be in that for, in the second half of this month, closing out this cycle of, what, I did this. Maybe maybe you had some other lesson to learn about standing up for yourself or whatever the case may be, and you're getting to that and you have done it. Maybe you were wanting to open a soup kitchen, and hey, I've gotten my soup kitchen open. That's wonderful. Now what am I going to do? Obviously still take care of that, but is there another part of your project, another part of your mission to look at? All right, let's take a look sign grouping by sign grouping. And we are going to start with Taurus. Let's see what other messages want to come through for you. All right, we have the King of Cups in reverse, and we have the Nine of Wands in reverse. So there is a sense of exhaustion that's coming in, as well as a feeling of being manipulated and a feeling of like worrying and being stressed out. So you were trying to make this decision and you want to get to this collaborative point, but you're feeling like you're being manipulated. You're feeling like you're stressed out and you don't know how to get there. So let's take a look and see if there's what other information does Taurus need to know about how to move, because these cards, I would say, are kind of sitting in between here. So what else does Taurus need to know to be able to move this into that Three of Pentacles energy where you feel like you're on task and on mission? All right, so our Four of Wands. This is also usually a twin flame card because it's the 11-11. And so this is about domestic bliss and stability and celebration and happiness. And then we also have our Temperance in reverse, though, is there's imbalance and excess. So right now things are really imbalanced at work for you. And so that's what needs to shift. Like you need to shift back into a position of balance, because there's like recklessness, there's avoidance, there's kind of ignorance, and it's like you don't want to acknowledge what the problem is from a work perspective. And so that's leading you, it does come to a head because you have a decision that needs to be made. But in order to get to this happiness, and maybe your job does have to do with your twin flame. Maybe, you have you have some sort of work together, but you have to be able to kind of move past whatever this situation is where there's this manipulation and stress and worry and all of this imbalance. So let's take a look from a timing standpoint and see when it looks like this will come back into balance for you to open up these blessings in the next 6 to 12 months. So it'll be happening maybe probably around the end of the year. You're going to feel like, okay, for my job, things are finally coming into balance. All right, so let's take a look then at love and relationships for Taurus and see what wants to come through. All right, Ace of Pentacles in reverse, Page of Wands in reverse. So the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, there's been a lot of missed opportunities within this relationship, and kind of like you've invested time and energy and it's failing. And then with your Page of Wands in reverse, it's leaving you really dull and indecisive and just like a lack of direction there. So, you know, with the new energy coming in being this Page of Swords energy, you're planning for a better future, but let's see what other planning, like what other things need to be factored into this planning for Taurus. You have your Five of Wands in reverse, Queen of Pentacles in reverse, and we'll pull one more card. And Three of Swords. So your Five of Wands energy, or Five of Wands in reverse, is finding some sort of resolution to the conflict. So all of these are in reverse. So the energy is kind of coming through a little bit differently since so many of them are in reverse. It's almost like it's not that straightforward type of energy. But, you know, normally, so Five of Wands like this is conflict and anger and a lot of rivalry. And so this is about finding the resolution to that. Then with your Queen of Pentacles in reverse, this is this greedy, selfish energy. Normally, you know, upright, it's luxurious energy, but this is a greedy, selfish energy. And then your Three of Swords in reverse is a sense of like forgiveness and moving on. So some of this, you know, with all of this energy, this like greediness and missed opportunities and things like that, it comes across that the forgiveness piece is not about like, okay, so how do we try to get us back on track? It's like you're planning for a different future, but part of it involves just, you know, letting go, like finding resolution. How can we stop the fighting? How can we stop doing this cycle and getting into a different place? So let's take a look at the Romance Oracle and see what wants to come through. And this energy here, like when it's saying, you know, what can you do to move this? Some of this, like, I'll call this greedy, selfish energy here is, you know, just do what's best for you, you know, and move yourself into a better, happier position. Codependency. Addictions are affecting your romantic life. So if you're in a codependent relationship, and that's going to be one where you're not happy, fulfilled, and peaceful. You're in a sense of, I need this person. I need them to be here for me. I need them to do this. That's a very hard rut to get out of. But the key to your happiness is moving on from it so that you can be in a balanced relationship that's not codependent. So a lot of toxic relationships have, you know, huge amounts of codependency that it's like, you know, it's bad, but you just can't seem to let it go because you're afraid of being alone. So that's the part that needs to be healed. All right, let's take a look at life path and mission. Here we have the Six of Pentacles in reverse. Oh, and I pulled two of them. And Justice, and then King of Wands in reverse. So with life path and mission, there's a little bit of this sense of expecting payback, like you're not being very charitable, which is interesting because this is about being charitable and giving, but it's almost like, okay, I want to be in a situation where I'm going to get something back for my efforts. So if your life path and mission, and maybe this is going with the codependency, like the example I used earlier, that you feel like your life path is, oh, my purpose here is to raise these kids, and now they're out of the house, and you're going, okay, what's the next stage for me? If that's the case, maybe that's why you were codependent, is you felt like that was your job, that was your duty, was to raise these kids, and you needed this other person, or you thought you needed this other person, so you're going to stay. But now you're moving into a position of saying, you know what, though, going forward, I'm not going to be in a situation that's not fulfilling to me. So if I'm putting in effort, I want to get something in return for it. I don't want it to be one-sided. And the Justice card is about bringing in that balance. It is about having things being equitable and harmonious. And then with your King of Wands in reverse, there's a little bit of this impulsiveness, though. So as you're trying to figure out what your next step is, there's a little bit of this, hey, I'm not going to do something unless I'm getting something for it. And you might impulsively kind of jump down a new path or align yourself differently maybe than you want to. So really strong here on this earth anchor, like work on your rootedness, work on your recalibration of, okay, what path do I want to go down now if I've wrapped up this cycle? Like, what do I want to do that's beneficial for everybody, that doesn't have any like bullying energy or any like tit for tat energy, but instead one that's going to be balanced and fair for everyone, where everybody wins. Life is not a zero-sum game. So, all right, let's take a look at a few more oracle cards, see what else comes up. Confidence is key to your success. So if you're, and I would say particularly up here, having confidence in where you want to go with this decision, and don't waver back and forth too much on it. Work on your meditation, work on asking your guides for help, and then letting it come through, and then confidently going with that. Okay. Worry. I'm learning that worry doesn't change an outcome. So if this is here with the codependency part, if you're worried, like, but what if this, but what if that, that's going to be killing any movement going forwards, because what's going to be is going to be. And if you drag your feet too much on it, it doesn't mean that, oh, well, that potential outcome now goes away because I was dragging my feet on it. All it's doing is it's robbing you of your peace today. So yeah, with that, I'm learning that worry doesn't change an outcome. All it does is it robs you of your peace today. So I hope this reading today has been helpful for you, Taurus. As always, take only what resonates and leave the rest behind. I will be doing some additional videos related specifically to the eclipse. So if you wanted to be notified when those videos are posting, make sure you hit the subscribe and notification bell. Otherwise, I wish you peace and joy along your journey. All right, Virgo, welcome into your portion of the reading, and we will take a look and see what additional messages want to come through here for you. All right, we'll start with job and career. We have the Wheel, and we have Ace of Cups in reverse. So the Wheel of Fortune is about having things happening in divine timing, and it's kind of this good karma, certain cycles of life. So if you felt like you were in a bad situation work-wise, and now you're trying to decide what to do, it's saying, okay, this is all part of the process. Like, this is all part of the growth, is you go through these struggles so that you learn a lesson, so that when something better comes in, you recognize the something better that has come in. Because right now at work, you're feeling unloved, unappreciated, creative blocks. And so there's a loss, I would say, I would take it this way, that it's a loss of a job. So you're making the decision to move away from it and into something that's more collaborative, into something that suits you a little bit better. And that's something that, as you go through different phases of your life, you know, a lot of times people early on in their career, it is about building up some wealth. It's about building up a reputation in your industry. It's about putting in those hours, getting that recognition. And then oftentimes at some point, people kind of take that step and say, wait a second, but what is this really doing for me? Is this really what I'm here on this earth to do? And that's all part of this Wheel of Fortune, like all part of this timing, I'll call it destined and fated type of thing that, you know, that's just part of your evolution, part of your growth. But it looks like for you, Virgo, you're moving in the direction of something that's more rewarding and collaborative. So let's look at timing of when that looks like that might happen before the next holiday. So that's pretty soon, depending on what all holidays you celebrate. There's a number of different ones coming up. So before the next holiday. So that'll be pretty quick here. Alrighty, Virgo, let's look at love and relationships and see what other messages want to come through for you. King of Swords, and we have our Eight of Swords in reverse. So your King of Swords energy is that authoritative, disciplined type of energy. So if you've been sitting there in the past, you know, replaying things in the past and trying to figure out what direction to go, but you're kind of have that like dull sort of energy, the new level or some additional energy coming in for you with this King of Swords is, okay, I'm done sitting in this dull place. I'm done sitting in this indecisive energy. And the Eight of Swords in reverse is about breaking free from victim mentality. It's about taking control. It's about saying, you know what, I'm not going to be in this self-imprisoned place anymore. And so you're planning on what are you going to do different. So this looks like for Virgo, if you found yourself in this position where you've been, you know, living in the past because the present is making you feel like dull and I don't know what to do about this relationship, then it looks like that relationship might be coming to an end, or at least significantly ending something within that relationship. Let's take a look at a timing card to see when this shift is happening for our Virgos. More than a year out. So it looks like this is kind of a longer time, you know, in terms of making some of that shift. So we'll see. In the meantime, is there anything else that you could or should be doing differently? So one of the things that I mentioned during tarot readings is if you don't like an outcome, it doesn't mean that this is set in stone and there's nothing you can do about it. It's, you know, based on the energy today, what would things look like if you stay consistent in the energy today? And it looks like, yes, you would break free, but it's going to be a while. So if you want something different, do something different. We also have our 10 of Swords in reverse, and then our 6 of Swords in reverse. So your 10 of Swords in reverse is about turning a corner and learning a lesson. So if you're able to learn a lesson, you can change that and make it a little bit of a faster, I guess, turnaround time. Because as of now, you're resisting positive change. So look at all this, you know, so you've got the sword energy here, but then you've got 6 of Swords in reverse, 8 of Swords in reverse, or 8 of Swords in reverse, 10 of Swords in reverse. So you're stuck in your head. You're doing an awful lot of thinking about this, but not actually taking the action. And the King of Swords, again, that's about thoughts. That's about having that like authority and discipline and being rational about things, but it's not as it's not as driven to making it, I guess, executed in the 3D, if that makes sense. So, oh, and I forgot, we'll take a Romance Oracle card here and see what else comes up. Unrequited love. There's not enough attraction or chemistry to keep this relationship going. So if you're stuck here living in the past and oh, you know, things were so great at the beginning with so-and-so and all these wonderful things that they did, this is kind of like, okay, you're in this dull, indecisive energy right now because there's just not enough love, passion there to sustain you and to make you feel comfortable in that relationship or feel happy and fulfilled in that relationship, not comfortable. All right, let's take a look at life path and mission for our Virgos. We have Page of Swords, which is also up there, and the Hermit. So the Page of Swords, you're planning. You're trying to figure out what is your next step, because you've kind of come to a conclusion, or like wrapping up your current cycle of your mission in that season of your life. So you're planning, okay, what is the next step for me? And the Hermit is about having, like, seeking that inner wisdom. So the Hermit goes into this sense of, or this period of deep introspection and soul searching and reflection. And they're doing that to be able to light the way for other people. So maybe your journey and your life path up until this point has been very 3D focused. And like I was talking about with jobs, that a lot of times people early in their career, it's about establishing and building that wealth and working on your reputation and your position in the company. And so it's kind of like, as that phases out, or as that wraps up, comes to conclusion, what is the next thing that you're being called to do? Maybe part of it in your life was that you needed to build up that financial cushion, because the next thing you're being called to do requires some resources to have it happen. So you're in a period of recalibrating what your mission is, and it could be being prompted by a Kundalini awakening, and really being connected to spirit and remembering your rootedness and being connected to source, to Gaia. So getting out in nature and really trying to anchor yourself in as you do this deep introspection to figure out where you want to go. What is the next phase for you? How can you help light the way for other people? All right, a couple more cards. Oops, these two flipped. Meditate and contemplate. So like I said, working on that grounding. And then this one says your commitment is being tested. So some of this, I feel like whenever that card comes out, there's the positive angle on it and I guess maybe the not as positive. So your commitment is being tested. Like if you say, for example here, if you're saying, okay, I'm turning the corner, I'm going to break free of this cycle of being in this unfulfilling relationship, your commitment to that is being tested, because that person might come back, and as they see you starting to shift, maybe they put forth just a little bit more effort. So your commitment to yourself is being tested. Like, are you going to hold true to yourself, protect your inner child, know your worth, and not let yourself be breadcrumbed? Or are you going to fall back into old patterns? Similarly, your commitment to being in a job that's fulfilling and that makes you feel like you're part of a team and has that collaboration. Maybe that's being tested, because as you start to make that shift and shift away from this career that you find unfulfilling, if they come back and say, oh, okay, well, we'll give you a $10,000 raise. And we'll give you, 3 extra days vacation. Is that enough to make you stay? And then you have that moment of, ooh, well, that'd be nice to have an extra $10,000. So your commitment to living a life true to yourself and one that's fulfilling might be being tested on the work front as well. All right. And last card, service. I feel good when I can help others. So that can be part of your new job. If you're looking for something that's more collaborative, creative, having that teamwork, and as you're figuring out what your life path and mission is, and having that feeling of wanting to be in service to others. So I hope that today's reading has been helpful for you, Virgo. And if it has, I would encourage you to like the video and share it with anyone else that you think might need this information. And as I mentioned, I will be doing some other videos that are specific for the eclipses that are coming up, since there's a big one in early April as well. So make sure you hit the subscribe and notification bell if you want to be alerted as to when those videos are posting. Otherwise, I wish you peace and joy along your journey. All right, so that was the wrap up for Virgo. And now we are on to Capricorn. So let's take a look at Capricorn and see what additional messages want to come through for you. All right, let's take a look at job and career first. So we have strength, And we have the Four of Cups. So the Four of Cups energy here is about kind of contemplation. It normally has a sense of apathy and kind of like a gloominess about it. But in this deck, he's really in this meditative, reflective state, as opposed to the gloomy state that's in the other, like in the Rider-Waite deck. It's definitely more of a gloomy one. There's, the cup sitting around him, and the divine is offering up a cup, and the guy is kind of sitting there under a tree like, whatever. But this one, he's actually embracing it. So it's more of a matter of looking at, looking at all of what you have and meditating on it and trying to reflect on what your next step should be. And the Strength card is going to be, that perseverance and sticking with the situation and working on overcoming these obstacles. So let's take a look at a little bit more. We'll pull from this deck and see what other messages want to come out in terms of, this transition between making a decision and being in a happier place, whether that's at your current job or whether that is something totally new. So what does our Capricorn need to know? All right. So we have our Seven of Wands in reverse, which is about weakness and burnout, and then Queen of Wands, which is a card about like confidence and joy. So it looks like this situation, you're just totally burned out from it, and you're wanting to shift into a more joyful, collaborative, creative type of a role. So let's see timing wise of when it looks like that shift might happen. At the most inopportune moment. So, and sometimes life goes like this. So if you're on the verge of leaving, it could be that the matter of like all of a sudden your employer comes back with, oh, okay, well, what about this? What if we offered you more money? What if we offered you more vacation? What if we offered you a different role on the team? Or you're getting ready to turn in your resignation and move towards something else, and your partner loses their job, or your partner gets transferred to a different town, and then you're like, well, wait a second, I thought something else was happening. So a little bit of, be ready that something might come at an inopportune time for you. All right, let's take a look at love and relationships and see what other messages are coming through for Capricorn. We have the Chariot in reverse and the Three of Swords in reverse. So the Three of Swords in reverse has this energy of like forgiveness and optimism and moving on. So that goes with this planning. You're planning for a better future. So part of it is just moving on, forgiving what's already happened. And your Chariot energy in reverse has this lack of direction and imbalance, and like you're afraid of being trapped or stuck. So this is really kind of going with this lazy energy, but I mean, it can also go with you're trying to plan because you feel like you're going to be stuck, but you want to move on from it. Like you don't want to continue to be stuck. So let's see what our Romance Oracle card has. All right. You deserve love. You are lovable. And we'll pull one more. Separation. Time apart from your partner is on the horizon. So it looks like with you, yes, there's this fear of being stuck, but then there's also this fear underneath of what if I move on and I end up alone? And this is that message of don't stay because you feel like you're stuck and like you don't have any other options. Because you do. You're lovable and there will be other options out there. So sometimes getting a little bit of separation, whether it's physical separation or whether it's mental, emotional separation, to be able to help you see things a little bit more clearly. All right, life, path, and mission. We have our Six of Swords in reverse, and then we have our Seven of Pentacles. So, so this is a sense of like resisting positive change. So you've gotten to the end of one cycle, but you're kind of resisting stepping out into the next cycle. Your Seven of Pentacles is about growth and rewards, though, so it will be rewarding to you if you can reach out and start something new, even though it might seem scary, because this cycle, it could have been, or that lesson or feeling like that was your mission in life or your path, that may have been one that you've been on for a long time, and it feels scary to step into something different. But it's like this mission has kind of run its course, got it through to completion. So now it's time to take that brave step forward and believe in the impossible. So you might be scared to step out, but remember that anything is possible, and you just have to work on recalibrating the way that you think about things, and be deliberate with the universe in terms of your manifesting and what it is that you want. So be clear and ask for what it is that you're wanting, and make sure you're putting yourself in that vibrational frequency of what it is that you're asking for. Then we also have surrender. I can release my need to control, and this is about believing in the impossible, that if you want something to happen, it's not about you have to fight against the universe to get it. It's that you have to surrender to the universe to bring it to you. So I hope that has been helpful for you, Capricorn. As always, take only what resonates and leave the rest. I will be doing some additional special readings for the eclipses, so make sure you hit the subscribe and notification bell if you want to be alerted as to when those post. Otherwise, I wish you peace and joy along your journey. Until next time.